of the Green Lake Conservancy. In fact, he is the Vice President of Conservation and a founding board member. So he's been on the board of the Green Lake Conservancy since 1995 when it was established. And Tom has a few words for you. I think that you will find them worth listening to. So I will give the mic to Tom.
Burr, can you turn it up just a little?
Sure. Yep.
How's that?
A little louder. Put it close to your mouth, Tom. Eat the microphone.
Okay. Well, I have just 2 points to share with you. And the first point is this. Why 10% is all you need? Quote, what does it take for an idea to spread from one to many? For a minority opinion to become the major belief? According to a 2011 study by scientists at the Rensselaer Polytech Institute, which is in Troy, New York, the answer is 10%. Once 10% of a population is committed to an idea, it's inevitable that it will eventually become the prevailing opinion of the entire group. The key is to remain committed. And your pledge, commitment to Tichora Conservancy, it's why we celebrate this momentous occasion here today. Second point, collective action. Tichora Conservancy is testament that land, water, and people benefit when we are at our best, striving together for the common good. Thank you.
Part of the country. And I think everybody here understands that. And I think that's why we're all gathered here today. Most of us have known this as Camp Grow. And as I've had the opportunity to talk to many of you today, I've learned that there's been different levels of interaction with this camp. There aren't a whole lot of people here who are actually campers, but many people have had some connection to the place. Prior to that, as I said, it was a Boy Scout camp since the 1920s, and it was known as Camp Tichora. So I'm excited to inform you that as of today and from this day forward, it will be known as the Tichora Conservancy. And Tom made reference to that. The word Tichora comes from the Ho-Chunk people, and they had a very special attachment to not only to this place, but to Green Lake in general. And it comes from Tyra, which means lake, and Cho, which means green. There's some discussion as to whether it's Green Lake or Green Water, but Tichora refers to this place, so known for hereafter as the Tichora Conservancy. So as I've said, our story of community really traces a full circle going back 100 years and many more, when the natives appreciated the beauty of this place. The Boy Scouts did the same, as did the Baptist Church. And having gone through 100 years of different interactions, it's landed back as we see it today, as this community is here to watch the beginning of the restoration of this land back to its natural state. You look around and you see infrastructure. But if you came back in 3 years, that's roughly the period of time that we have under the DNR grant to restore the property, and that's really the beginning. Obviously, restoration takes forever. It will look very much like it did 100 years ago, rather than the way that it does in 2018. In closing, I just want to offer my deep and sincere thanks to every person that's gathered here today, as well as many that are not able to be gathered here today. This community sent an overwhelming message that they value this place, and that they value natural land, and that they value the opportunity to experience Green Lake in a natural setting. And so all of us can be very proud and can thank each other for providing that opportunity for generations to come. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to now turn the microphone over to Charlie Marks with the Green Lake Sanitary District to make a few remarks.
I think I'm going to hold title here today to the shortest little presentation. My goal was to stand up here today and represent the Sanitary District. Jerry Speck is going to say a few words after me. But on behalf of the Green Lake Sanitary District, to be partners with the Green Lake Conservancy has been an honor and a privilege. We're very proud and happy of all the properties that we've been able to set aside. And I'm really excited as I near retirement to be able to come out here with my grandkids for as many more years as the good Lord gives me. So I just want to end by saying I know I see a lot of familiar faces and I've talked to a lot of you. I consider you guys, many of you, good friends. And I want to just say personally from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for your generous contributions. On behalf of the Green Lake Sanitary District and my wonderful board that believes in this, which is Ken Bates, raise your hand back there. Bonnie Jensen, who couldn't be here, she's out of town right now, and Jerry Specht, who's going to follow me, who's the board president for the Sanitary District. So just thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlie. Berg gave us 2 to 3 minutes to speak, and otherwise this mic will go dead. I want to, first of all, infringe on some of his time yet before I get into my quick speech. In your booklets that you were handing out today, that you can read, inside of that booklet is a list of all the people who have contributed, alphabetical order. Would you help us if you see anything wrong with this, any mistakes, corrections? Contact Bird, myself, Charlie, anybody, any one of us. Just let us know. This will eventually be published in the newspaper, in the Green Laker or something like that. But we want to make sure it was right. This is our first edition. So let us know. Read through it. I think it's pretty close. Kind of interesting. When we had our pledge drive meetings, we decided not to list people by categories, by how much you gave. The platinum people, the gold people. We didn't want to do that. Everybody's going to be listed alphabetical. You don't have to worry about that. And it just, everybody gives what they can, and it worked out perfectly. Everybody gave what they could. Boy, couldn't have asked for any more. Thank you very much for that. The fund drive was done all by volunteers. We didn't hire anybody. We didn't hire a $30,000 or $40,000 consultant. We just did it ourselves. And one more thing about that, let's see. That will be listed in the paper, that's right. We got to get this corrected. Now, 3 things. We're setting 3 records today. Now I'm on my time, Bert. I'm on my own time now. We had about 600 people contribute to this. We've never had that in Green Lake. We set a record. $2 million. You haven't seen that. You haven't come close to that in Green Lake. This is a first for that. Thank you. Thank you all. Everybody comes up to us, congratulates us. We didn't do it. We facilitated. It's all of you guys who put the money in. Had you not put the money in, we wouldn't be here today. That's one record. The second record is today we had 350 RSVPs for this event. That's outstanding for Green Lake. And to top it off, there's no alcohol. Had we had free beer, we would have doubled this, I'm sure. And it really, how often do you have an event like this if you don't have alcohol? I gotta say, that's pretty darn good. The last thing I want to do, that's the second record there, 350 people and no alcohol. And the third thing what I want to do is, you people were the ones who made this. It wasn't us. We put it together. We were the facilitators. You did it. I want you all to congratulate each other. And this is going to be the biggest handshake and hug that Green Lake has ever seen right now. So turn around and congratulate your neighbors. Thank you very much, because you all were part of this. Everybody was part of this.
Hooray! Congratulations.
Now you can go up.
I know you start crying. It's not on my phone.
Likewise. Good for you.
Jerry literally could not have said it better, and I certainly couldn't as well. So Jerry, thank you for those words, and to all of you. We do have a couple of other guests before we're done with the official part of this ceremony. And I would like to ask the Reverend Robert Rawls to speak to you. And he is with the American Baptist Churches of Chicago, and they are the people who owned Camp Grow and ran it for many years, and he is their representative and would like to share a few words with all of you as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Robert Rawls. I am the chair of the Finance and Property Committee for the American Baptist Churches of Metro Chicago. And I am one of the people who are tasked with finding a buyer for this property. So I can say that 1 year ago, when we met with a few representatives from the Green Lake Conservancy, it was a dream that they would come back and be able to offer the resources that we needed to be able to continue our ministry while also preserving this space. So we are thrilled, our congregations are thrilled for your community to be here, and we thank you for the work that you have done. I have our last keys for Camp Grow. So here are the final keys for Camp Grow. Our prayer is that this property, this land, will be a place of refuge. That this place will be a space for restoration, not only for God's good creation, but for those who are able to walk and see the beauty of nature. And our final prayer is that the work of this Green Lake Conservancy can continue the Grow family's commitment to providing connections for people to nature, to God's wonder, and to the chance just to be active and enjoy life. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. It is our pleasure and honor to hold those keys. We have one last speaker today, and I've asked Mike Carlson to speak. And Mike is the executive director of Gathering Waters. Gathering Waters is a Madison-based organization that represents land trusts across Wisconsin. The Green Lake Conservancy is one of those land trusts, and Gathering Waters provides many different sorts of resources. They provided for me the answers to a lot of questions that arose during this process. And their work happens because people like you all across the state, whether it's in Bayfield in the north, in Door County, Lake Geneva in the south, or here in Green Lake, come together and vote with their dollars to do this kind of work. So I'd like to give Mike the opportunity to say a few words for you before we are finished today.
Thanks so much, Burr, and no pressure being the last speaker here. I'll try to keep this brief, but it's so great to be with you all here today. As Burr mentioned, my name is Mike Carlson. I'm with Gathering Waters, and we're Wisconsin's Alliance for Land Trusts. So we really exist to help protect land throughout Wisconsin. And the why of the work we do is really, I think, probably the same reasons why many of you are here today. It's for clean water, right? Wildlife. Wisconsin's way of life. And I almost can't think of a better project that embodies those priorities and those such important values as this Camp Grow project. The role that we play, as Burr referenced, is that we work to strengthen Wisconsin's land trusts. So we have nearly 50 land trusts. When I use the word land trust or land conservancy, I'll use those interchangeably. We have nearly 50 land trusts around Wisconsin doing incredible work in local communities. And with nearly 50 members, I can't have favorites, obviously, among those, but Green Lake Conservancy is pretty amazing. They do really, it is so inspiring, I think, to be here today, to think about, over the last year, everything that had to come together to make this happen for us to be here today. I think it's truly inspiring. And to the whole Green Lake Conservancy team, you all should be so proud of the work that you've done. So please join me in giving them another round of applause. Just to close, I briefly wanted to mention one other just critical point about the project that we're standing on here today. And you heard about all of the generosity from the community and all the private donations that went into this project. But it's important to note that half of the funding for this project was made possible by the state of Wisconsin and by a program called the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program, which is the state funding program for land protection across Wisconsin. It provides matching funds for nonprofits like land trusts provides funds for local communities and for DNR and other partners. This is a program that's been around for nearly 30 years and has enjoyed incredibly broad bipartisan support. The reason I mention it today, though, is that you all should know that the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program is actually at risk of going away. And if the governor and the legislature don't act in the next state budget in 2019 to extend funding for the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program, we won't have that source of funding to help groups like Green Lake Conservancy do this important work at the local level. So again, I just wanted to make sure we were all really clear about how important that state investment and that state support is for this work. And I would urge all of you to reach out to your elected officials and say, hey, this really matters to me. This really matters to my community. We should continue to make these kinds of investments. So again, just such a pleasure to be with you all here today. Such an inspiring project, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Mike. With that, the only thing I can think of to say is two words. Thank you. Have a great day.